Now let's take a look at gold. Long-term chart showing our XOP up there at 1500, as well as the yearly thrust indicating our bull market. Quarterly, same story, nice quarterly thrust, as well as that COP 1257. Next resistance OP 1462, just below that 1500 XOP on the yearly, and then 1613, the next resistance after that. Going to our monthly chart, this is the monthly showing our support. Good first confluence at 1130, next one 1042. The monthly trend is still up though, and we're keeping our resistance. We're holding our support at 1180. So really not to say that we're going to move lower on the gold just yet. We need to get that monthly into a sell first. Now we're talking about the possibility of this wash and rinse here. Last week we talked about that, and I said there's a good chance that you can see some kind of pullback to the highs that was washed. Now this was the highs. We've washed that, came down from that COP. Now we can try and retest those highs. That's what's been happening this week. So let's take a look at the weekly. We can see the wash and rinse on that weekly support we talked about the last week. And we see we had a good strong rally this week that went this past week. This is our resistance on the weekly showing 1223. That's a good resistance area. We can also see the weekly still in the sell. So weekly in a sell. This is the next resistance, 1223. That's also the possible pullback for that monthly wash and rinse. If we can move through this, then gold's probably going to go much higher. Okay, so this is the line in the sand, 1223. Weekly overbought, oversold, neutral territory, not much to say on that. And then let's take a look at our daily. You can see the daily went into a buy and we just took off. That's what you like to see. So this is a good indication that the market's probably going to go more towards that 1223 level. So we had this strong rally from the buy signal. 1223 is that resistance area. It's just above these stops, and we're probably going to see that in the next week or so. Going to our daily resistance, there's that multi-bar railroad we talked about last week. You can see the market's just taking out all kinds of resistance. So if we get a pullback towards these resistance early in this coming week, that'll be a good buying opportunity to target 1223. That's the weekly resistance. 1228 is the daily resistance, the F5. So I'd say 1223 to 1228. That's your big resistance. That's a line in the sand up to 1228. If we go through that, I think gold's going to go much higher. So we could take some kind of short position up here because it's a real tight stop, and we can see if it turns down from there. If it doesn't, we can try and trade it from the long side if it goes through. But for now, the trade is to try and buy these disrespected resistance areas for a target up to 1223 to 1228. Let's take a look at our support on the daily as well as overbought, oversold. 1192, the first support, although that's a bit far away because we're now trading our daily trend. We should look at a 60-minute chart. I'm going to do that right now. Just take note the overbought, oversold. If you do get a spike, the overbought's also up there at 1228. Now the last chart for gold is the 60-minute pit hours chart showing our support areas. 1200, just above that, say 1201. That's where that old resistance area on the daily was, the disrespected resistance. So if you come back and test this area, I think that'll probably be the buy, and with a stop just below the confluence area. If it goes through, the next confluence area is this 1192. That's also the F3 on the daily. But I think the good support would be to try and buy this area around here, stop below the confluence, and try and take your profits up at 12.23.